Well, hi guys and girls, Emma again. Welcome back to the spare room. Part 7, this part 8 maybe. I think this is the last part. How cool is that? Of this indicator build. That tumbler's been going all night, keeping me awake. And I tied these together with a bit of wire because the reality is if you drop two little washers like this in there, you'll never ever find one of them. And this doubles your chances of getting them both out. And these are nice brushed matte, clean finish. I've given them a good scrub up with some water, but that's where we want to be with those. They look like purchased ones. They're really good. I like that. Now, as far as bluing goes, right, we've got these bits and they are fairly nice. If we have a look here, there's this, and we've got the two arms, we've got the head and the tail, I guess, and the two studs which go in there afterwards, and we've got a nut, and we've got the two washers. So what, we also got hair here everywhere. What's next with this? There's a few options to blue it, right? I did these dyes a while back. These are heat blued. 275 gives us this really pretty colour. And I've done a few samples here just to see how they looked. This one's probably more like 275. 295 is that blue colour. It's very easy to get 10 degrees too hot and end up with this colour. So it's also a process that's almost entirely difficult to get exact temperatures. You need to bring them up slow to 250, something like that, and then increase it another 30 degrees and another 30 and another 30, or however much, so that you don't jump over the temperature. What you find is that if you just set the oven at 295, that you end up with hotter or colder depending on the bulk of the parts. And if you soaked all those parts in there at once, what you would find is that some of them would get hot and some of them wouldn't, and you would end up with different colours on all the bits. So probably the traditional way to do these is on a bluing pan with a flame, and that's a lot of messing around and very, very difficult to get them all the same. So I don't think heat bluing is really an answer. It's just too many parameters to not quite get right and end up with results I don't like. This is Carswell Black. It's a chemical process. I have some here that was a sample that a friend gave me, and that's this nice dull brushed black finish. I sort of like that. To be honest, it's probably going to be quite nice on this. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do these because they want to be sort of left as they are, but that's a really pretty contrast, and I think that's going to be nice, and it might give it a bit of rust protection, certainly a little bit of sort of mask a little bit against dirt and damage and stuff. But mostly it's just cosmetic. So these need to be really clean to do that. I think that's the secret more than anything. These are pretty well finished. The other thing about this matte finish is that it'll give me a good coverage on this sort of part, whereas to get this sort of finish on any part, it's got to be very highly polished to be really nice and uniform, and these parts aren't. So I think we're going to do this. First thing is a tub of warm soapy water and some Gtwr and a sponge, Scotch-Brite. Give everything a good scrub, and then a good rinse in clean water with a brush. Get all the Gtwr off them, and then they need a rinse in or a good wipe down, or a rinse in acrylic lacquer thinners or some sort of a solvent, and then we can think about bluing them. So let's get set up here. So these bits are all nice and clean. They've just they've got a bit of water on them, but apart from that, they've just come out of a bit of a scrub with some Gtwr, like a bathroom abrasive cleaner, cream cleaner. Everyone's got some in their kitchen. And we'll just check to make sure all the parts are here. We've got 2 ends and the body, the 2 screws and the nut and the 2 big nuts. So that's all there. Next thing they're going to get is a wash and some thinners. Now we need something. I'm not going to put acrylic lacquer thinners or anything in one of these plastic cups because that's a bit stupid. Got a little glass pot here with a bit of thinners in it. Give this a clean so there's no cleaner left on them, because that doesn't help at all. And dig them out here to dry. Another secret is to get all the fluff and lint and crap off them. So otherwise you end up with patches around the burrs and around the holes that have little bits of lint and fluff caught on them, and they don't tend to take blue particularly well. There's a hair there. And that's the last piece. There's a surprising amount of soap still on these, and if we have a look, our thinners is kind of pearly white rather than clear now. But the main thing is no fingerprints and no cleaner and no oil. And the more time you spend cleaning these bits up, the better results that you're going to get. These little parts are reasonably easy to do. You start doing big parts like a clock frame or something like that, You're going to have to spend a fair bit of time getting it right. And your surface finish needs to be exact too. Still got a mark halfway up the thread on that one. We'll call that one done. And we're going to hope that we've got most of the bits clean. If you've got some distilled water, you can dilute this. I've never had much luck with that. This is the Carswell black oxide concentrate. It seems to be reasonable stuff. I've only got sort of probably enough to do this. It's not a particularly cheap sort of a solution. I don't think this is going to be the right thing to do the bigger parts, because we're not going to get that in there. You could just wipe it on. It tends to not give you particularly good results. Let's see if we can find a better container than that. So I found this, which is the bottom of a plastic bottle. And dump that in there nicely. And all we've got to do is drop all these bits in for 10 minutes and come back and have a look when that's happened. And that's everything's just about covered there. Might have to rearrange these a little bit and put this down here a bit further. Turn this one round. We've only just got enough solution there to do it. This is probably the deepest part over here. So if we put these back up here, but just make sure everything's covered nicely. We'll give them 10 minutes and we'll see how we go. Now, people are asking about tumbler, and we did those washes. I've got basically my tumbler medium, and we'll have a look at that now. See, that one's still got soap in it, or oil or something in it. Be a bit careful of that. On so that you can see it actually working. This is just like, it's almost a concrete. It's basically just a medium to keep all the parts apart. And I've coated that. It's got a bit of water in it, and I've coated it with a carborundum paste, like an oilstone powder. And that I find gives a really nice brush finish fairly quickly. But you do need to clean the parts up pretty well afterwards. So you've got to spend a bit of time with soap and water with that. I think an extra abrasive, like a breakdown abrasive medium all in one might be nice. So I don't know where to get that in Australia. So that's what it looks like, and that's the results that we get. So at the moment that's working pretty well, but it is fairly hard on the hands and it's quite abrasive. So we've had about 10 minutes and these bits are starting to come up nice. I'm going to drop them in some water and just neutralise that. And we've got the second part, which is this Carswell penetrating sealer. And we're going to just drop them in there for another 10 minutes or so. I'm going to give this a good clean up, some detergent, etc, etc, and probably when they come out this is going to go in there with that, so it's all covered. It's the problem with working with not quite enough solution. That's the end of the bottle. So I've had a bit of a think about this, and all black looks a bit crap. And I had trouble getting these to cover, to be honest, if we're going to be honest. So I've left these, I've brushed them up and I've left them sort of antique-y, so that's to give them a bit of protection maybe. And they look good. These parts all come out really nice. This is magic, really, and these aren't too shabby. This one's good, it's really good. And this one's nice too. Bit of oil on them over the next couple of weeks won't hurt, just to preserve that and make sure that they don't go rusty. Bit of hydraulic oil or gear oil or something, and just leave them for a bit with a coating on them. Washers look like that, which is great. So there's one last job, and that's to Loctite these in. Poor bottle of Loctite's getting close to dead. Discover which side had the countersinks in it. And push them home. This is 680 Loctite. It's very unlikely that it needs a whole lot of it. It's going to really stick, so that gives us a nice rugged sort of industrial look, and I really like that. I think I'm going to do this nut the same. Just to match. How nice is that? Really like that. It's sort of a bit steampunky and it's kind of nice. I really like this. So pleased with that. Probably not a tool that's to everyone's taste, but to me that's probably a pretty good sort of a thing. I like that. I like the finish on it. I like the tactile feel of it. I guess the last job really is to put an indicator on it and put it in the lathe and see if it works. So this is what I've got, right? I really like this. It's tactile, it's nice, it feels a bit industrial, and it looks a bit industrial. It looks like it's probably a vintage tool, or how a vintage tool should look. Generally they don't. It's all together and everything releases nice, and it's got a bit of oil on it, and it's going to get a bit more on it before I put it away for a couple of days. So that's the Stefan Gtwr indicator holder. That's my interpretation of it. It's completely different to anyone else's, I think, but really like it, and it's time to finish this video and go on to the next thing. But thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and your likes, comments, all that sort of stuff, for feedback on this. And if you're watching this on Patreon, thanks guys for making this all possible. And I'm going to say that this video is done. I'm out, and more soon, guys and girls. Be kind to each other.